September 30th is not just another date on the calendar. It's a divine reminder that God still speaks, still moves, and still transforms lives. What God revealed about this day can completely shift the way you think, the way you act, and the way you walk into your destiny. Tonight, let's explore what heaven is saying and how you can align your mind to experience breakthrough. Oh no, one of the most powerful truths you can ever grasp is that God's timing is never random. We live in a world where we are constantly looking at the clock, counting days, comparing our progress to everyone else's timeline, and when things don't seem to be happening fast enough, we get frustrated. But I want you to catch this tonight. September 30th isn't just another date on your calendar. It's a reminder that heaven has its own schedule and God's clock is never running late. Think about it. If God created time itself, do you really believe he's bound by the same deadlines we stress about? The frustration we feel when something hasn't happened yet is often not because God is late, but because we're early. We're trying to harvest what hasn't had time to grow. And here's the thing. What God has for you isn't just about timing, it's about preparation. September 30th could be that marker, that wake-up call where God is saying, I'm lining things up for you, but I need you to line up with me. This is where the psychological part kicks in. Our brains are wired to crave certainty. We want to know when, how, and what exactly will happen next. But faith is not about certainty. Faith is about trust. Trust that even when you don't see movement, God is moving. Trust that when things look delayed, they are actually being developed. Your breakthrough isn't just a date on the calendar. It's a state of alignment between your mind, your faith, and God's plan. Let me make it practical. Sometimes God withholds something because giving it to you too soon could hurt you. It's like giving a child the keys to a car before they've learned how to drive. The promise is real, the inheritance is real, but the preparation has to be complete. And here's the challenge for us. Can we be patient enough to let God's process work? Can we trust that even this season of waiting is shaping us for what's next? Philosophically, this is what we call teleology, the belief that everything is moving toward a purpose. Nothing is random, not the delays, not the disappointments, not even the detours. All of it is part of a divine narrative where God is writing your story in such a way that when you step into your appointed moment, you will be ready mentally, spiritually, and emotionally to handle the weight of what he is about to place in your hands. And this is why dates like September 30th are powerful. They are markers. They shake us out of autopilot and remind us that there is a bigger story being told. This day can be the moment you stop complaining about the wait and start preparing for the breakthrough. This is the day you decide to sync your watch with God's clock and trust that his timing is perfect. Not just good, not just convenient, but perfect. So here's my challenge for you. Don't just look at September 30th as a date to circle on your calendar. Look at it as a decision point. A moment where you say, God, I trust your timing. I surrender my impatience. I choose to prepare while you position me. Because when you do, you'll realize that what felt like a delay was actually divine protection. And what felt like silence was actually God setting the stage for something bigger than you imagined. Let this day remind you, you are not behind, you are not forgotten, and you are exactly where you need to be for what God is about to do next. If God's timing is perfect, then our thinking needs to be aligned with that perfection, because nothing will sabotage divine timing faster than a mind that refuses to be renewed. You can be standing right at the door of your breakthrough, but if your mindset is still locked in fear, still wrapped in doubt, still chained by old ways of thinking, you'll miss what God is trying to hand you. That's why Scripture says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's not just a poetic phrase, it's a command, a blueprint for living at the level God designed for you. Our minds are like software. Whatever you program in them, that's what they'll run. If you've been feeding your mind years of negativity, scarcity, and fear, then don't be surprised when your decisions reflect that programming. You can't step into a future of abundance with a mindset trained in lack. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They pray for a miracle, but they keep thinking like a victim. They ask for God to open a new door, but they keep rehearsing the pain of the last door that's shut in their face. Psychologically, we know that thoughts are powerful. because they create neural pathways. The more you think something, the easier it is to think it again. That's why toxic thinking becomes a cycle. The more you dwell on fear, failure, or rejection, the more automatic those thoughts become. The good news is that neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, proves that change is possible. Spiritually, that's exactly what God is calling us to do, to rewire, to renew, to reset the system. So, how do you renew your mind? You start by auditing your thoughts. What are you allowing to take up space in your mental real estate? What you dwell on will determine what you become. You cannot consistently think defeat and live in victory. You cannot keep repeating, "I'm not good enough," and expect to walk in confidence. The battlefield is not out there, it's right here, between your ears. If you win the war in your mind, everything else will fall into place. And this isn't just about positive thinking. This is about aligning your thoughts with God's truth. Positive thinking says, "I believe things can get better." Renewed thinking says, "I believe God is already at work making them better." That's a whole different level. It moves you from just hoping for change to living with the expectation that change is inevitable because God promised it. Philosophically, this is a shift from a deterministic mindset, where you think life is just happening to you, to a participatory mindset, where you understand that you are co-creating with God through your choices and your faith. When you start thinking like that, fear loses its grip. Procrastination stops running your schedule, and you begin to act not out of panic, but out of purpose. Let me tell you, your breakthrough may not require a new job, a new city, or a new relationship. It may just require a new mindset. You could have the same circumstances, but see them through renewed eyes, and suddenly notice opportunities that were invisible before. This is why renewing your mind is not optional. It's essential if you want to see transformation. So here's my challenge to you, starting today. Pay attention to the thoughts that are shaping your future. Replace fear with faith. Replace doubt with truth. Replace "I can't" with "God, I can." Because the moment your mind changes, your life will follow. Once your mind begins to renew, you have to confront something even deeper: the beliefs that have been running your life without your permission. Because here's the truth. We all live according to the stories we tell ourselves. And some of those stories are straight up lies. They were whispered to us when we were young, reinforced by disappointment, magnified by failure. And now they've set up camp in our subconscious. And we wonder why we keep hitting the same wall year after year. Limiting beliefs are like invisible chains. You don't see them, but you feel them every time you try to move forward. You tell yourself you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not spiritual enough, not worthy enough. And then you live as if those things are facts. But here's what I need you to catch. Just because a thought has been living in your head for years doesn't make it true. A lie believed will act like truth until you confront it. Psychologists talk about something called a self-fulfilling prophecy. It means that what you expect tends to become what you experience. If you believe you'll always struggle, your decisions will unconsciously lead you towards struggle. If you believe people can't be trusted, you will sabotage relationships without even realizing it. That's the power of belief. It sets the boundaries for what you think is possible. Spiritually, this is why God is always calling us back to His Word, because His Word tells you who you really are. And when His truth collides with your false beliefs, you have a choice. Either hold on to the lie that feels familiar or embrace the truth that will set you free. Breaking free from limiting beliefs isn't comfortable because it often means letting go of the identity you've been carrying for years. Some of us have gotten used to being the underdog, the struggler, the one who never wins, so much that we wouldn't even know what to do if we started winning. But this is where mindset renewal becomes real. It's not enough to just think positive thoughts. You have to dig into the root of why you think the way you do. Some of you need to ask yourself, who told me I wasn't good enough? Who told me my dream was impossible? Who told me I couldn't change? And then you have to decide if their voice deserves to have that much power over your future. Breaking free doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional. This may mean speaking truth out loud when the lie tries to rise up again. It may mean surrounding yourself with people who remind you of your potential instead of your past. It may even mean getting uncomfortable, trying new things, stepping out when everything in you wants to play it safe, just to prove to yourself that the old belief no longer runs your life. Philosophically, this is the moment of liberation. It's the moment you realize that you are not a prisoner of the past. You are a participant in what comes next. You can dismantle the mental walls that have kept you small. And when you do, you will see opportunities you didn't see before. Not because they weren't there, but because you finally believed you deserved to walk through them. So here's my challenge for you tonight. Identify one lie you've been living under, just one, and replace it with truth. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Pray over it until it becomes your new default setting. Because the moment you break free from the lies that have defined you, you step into the truth that will transform you. And that, my friend, is where freedom begins. Once those limiting beliefs have been shattered, there's only one thing left to do: move, step, act. Because freedom is not just a feeling, it's a responsibility. It's not enough to be mentally free if you're still living like a captive. God didn't renew your mind just so you could sit back and admire how much better you think now. He renewed your mind so you could step into the purpose He created you for. Let me say it straight. Purpose is not a suggestion, it's an assignment. You weren't just dropped on this earth to take up space, pay bills, and hope things work out. You were sent here to accomplish something specific. And here's where a lot of people get stuck. They keep waiting for clarity, waiting for confirmation, waiting for the perfect conditions. But purpose doesn't wait. It calls you forward even when things still look uncertain. Psychologically, we call this action bias. When you start taking steps towards your goal, even small ones, your brain begins to believe it's possible. Action creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. The enemy of purpose is not failure, it's hesitation. Failure can teach you something. Hesitation keeps you stuck in the same place year after year. Some of you are standing on the edge of what God has been calling you to do. Write the book, start the business, mend the relationship, launch the ministry, but fear has been whispering, what if you fail? Can I flip that question for you? What if you succeed? What if this one act of courage sets off a chain reaction of blessing, not just for you, but for everyone connected to you? Purpose is rarely just about you. It's about the lives you will impact once you decide to step out. Philosophically, this is what we call living teleologically, moving with a sense of direction, not just drifting through existence. People who live without purpose wake up every day asking, what should I do today? People who live with purpose wake up asking, what must I do today? There's a difference. Purpose gives you a must. It gives you focus. It gives you fire. And stepping boldly doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out. It just means you refuse to stay where you are. Abraham didn't know every detail of the promised land before he left home. He just knew God told him to go. David didn't know exactly how the battle would unfold. He just knew the giant had to fall. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward in spite of it. And here's the thing, the world is waiting for what's inside of you. Somebody's breakthrough is connected to your obedience. Somebody's answered prayer is tied to your decision to stop hiding and start walking in what you were created to do. That's why playing small is not humble, it's disobedient. You are not glorifying God by shrinking back. You glorify Him when you fully show up as the person He designed you to be. So here's the challenge. Take one bold step toward your purpose today. Don't just think about it. Don't just talk about it. Act on it. Send the email. Make the call. Write the first page. Take the first step. Because when you move, heaven moves with you. And the moment you step boldly into your purpose, you'll realize something powerful. You were never waiting on God. He was waiting on you. Once you've taken that step toward your purpose, you have to protect your momentum with faith. Because stepping out is just the beginning. Staying out there requires trust. It's one thing to make a move. It's another thing to keep believing when you can't yet see the results. That's where faith comes in. Faith is not just the concept we talk about in church. It is the spiritual engine that keeps you moving when logic says stop. Faith is choosing to act as if what God said is already done, even when there's no evidence yet. And expectation is what gives your faith its energy. The two work together. Faith believes, but expectation looks for the result. Faith says God will do it, but expectation says I can't wait to see how he's going to do it. Without expectation, faith becomes passive. You pray, but you don't prepare. You ask, but you don't look up to see the answer coming. Psychologists call this the power of expectancy. Studies show that when people expect a positive outcome, they are more likely to notice opportunities, persist through difficulty, and take the risks necessary to succeed. Spiritually, it's no different. When you expect God to move, you live differently. You start aligning your choices with what you believe is on the way. Think about it. Noah built the ark before it ever rained. That was faith. But he also stocked it with animals, food, and everything he would need for the journey. That was expectation. He didn't just believe something was coming, he prepared for it. Some of us are believing for breakthroughs, but we haven't built the ark yet. We say we trust God to bring increase, but we haven't made space in our lives for it. Expectation clears the room. Expectation gets things ready. Expectation says, I know something is about to happen, so I'm going to act like it's already here. And here's the truth. Expectation is contagious. When you start living with that kind of anticipation, it ignites the faith of the people around you. They start to wonder what you know that they don't. Your confidence becomes a testimony. Your posture becomes a sermon. You become a walking billboard for what it looks like to trust God's word over your circumstances. Philosophically, this is what it means to live eschatologically, to live now in light of what is coming. You begin to act today as though the future is already guaranteed, because in God's plan, it is. That kind of living breaks fear off your life. You stop hesitating. You stop waiting for perfect condition. You stop letting doubt talk you out of what you know God put in your spirit. And yes, activating faith will cost you something. It may cost you your comfort zone. It may cost you some relationships. It may even cost you your pride, because faith often looks foolish until it works. But that's the point. Faith forces you to depend on God in a way that leaves no doubt about who made it happen. So here's my challenge for you right now. Don't just believe vaguely that things will get better someday. Start expecting breakthrough today. Prepare as though the answer is already on its way. Talk like it, think like it, act like it. Because when your faith and your expectation come into agreement, you don't just wait for the future, you pull the future into your present. If September 30th shakes your soul, but October 1st looks exactly the same, then you miss the point. Breakthrough is not meant to be a one-night event. It is meant to spark a new way of living. What God is doing in this moment is not just about giving you goosebumps. It's about giving you a new blueprint. A moment like this is an invitation, not just to feel inspired tonight, but to live inspired tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year. This is where most people miss it. They have a powerful moment, maybe even a life-changing encounter, but then they go back to the same routines, the same circles, the same habits, and slowly that fire dies out. Your transformation must be guarded. What God is birthing in you right now needs to be nurtured. You wouldn't plant a seed and then walk away from it and expect it to grow on its own. You water it, you protect it, you give it sunlight. And that's exactly what you must do with this mental and spiritual shift you are experiencing tonight. Psychologically, we know that consistency rewires behavior. A single insight can open your eyes, but repetition is what makes it part of your identity. That's why habits are so powerful. They become automatic. If you want this new mindset to last, you must build structures around it. Create new rhythms of prayer, new patterns of gratitude, new habits that reinforce who you are becoming. If you just wait for inspiration to hit you again, you'll keep living in cycles. But if you turn inspiration into discipline, you create momentum that doesn't depend on your mood. And let's talk about your environment. Your environment has to match the transformation you just experienced. If you go back to voices that speak doubt, to patterns that feed fear, to habits that drain your spirit, you will eventually slip back into what you just broke free from. You cannot step into a new season while clinging to the baggage of the old one. This might mean setting boundaries. This might mean surrounding yourself with people who challenge you to grow instead of letting you stay the same. Philosophically, this is about moving from event-based transformation to process-based transformation. It's about turning a date on the calendar into a lifestyle. A date is temporary, it passes, a lifestyle is ongoing. It evolves with you. And when you carry this shift into your daily life, you stop living from one emotional high to the next. You become stable, rooted, consistent, and that's when true maturity begins. Don't underestimate how powerful a single choice repeated daily can be. Small decisions compounded over time will change the trajectory of your entire life. If you choose today to renew your mind, tomorrow to break limiting beliefs, the next day to step into purpose, and the next to keep your faith activated, before you know it, you'll look back and realize you are not the same person you were. That's the power of carrying the shift forward. So here's my closing challenge. Don't let this just be an emotional moment. You remember, let it be a defining moment that redefines you. Take what you felt tonight and turn it into action tomorrow. Keep showing up. Keep believing. Keep preparing. Keep trusting, because the shift that starts tonight has the power to create a future you've only dreamed about if you refuse to go back to the way things were.